Hi, my name is Robert Lewis, and I'm a plein air painter living in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Quite often I go down and paint by the bay, and I want to show you a little painting that I did by the bay. Really a quick oil sketch, took a couple hours to do. First I want to tell you about the benches. Between Monterey and Pebble Beach is the little town of Pacific Grove, and all along the coastline of Pacific Grove, which faces out onto the Monterey Bay, are these benches. These are memorial benches purchased by families to memorialize a family member. You'll find them all along here. Here are some of the paintings that I've done with benches in them. Here you see the rosea blooming, and in the distance you see Lover's Point. Here in the cliffs, the path winds around past a bench. And the painting that I'm going to demonstrate today was painted on that far cliff there. There's a little oil sketch. Again, the benches are everywhere, and some of the places are rather secluded, and a very nice place to sit and meditate. Here I've set up on the cliff with a bench in the distance. A beautiful place to stand. And I'm going to put washes of color in first, sort of indicate the basic structure of the painting, indicate where the color is. Now I'm really washing the color on very thin with a little bit of Damar, or sometimes I use a little bit of Galkit and walnut oil. But in any case, very thin, and something that will get a little bit sticky in a half hour or an hour. I continue to block in the colors, adding some into the sky now, and you can see that I put little notations of where the sailboats are because the water is filled with sailboats today. You can clearly see the bench and where the rocks are going to be in the burnt sienna area, and starting to see the path which leads to the bench. Now I put the path in a little bit clearer, started to put more detail in the foreground, continue to work on the clouds in the distance. I sort of go back and forth. I'll work on the sky, and then I'll work on the foreground. I'll work on the middle ground, and so on. And I don't fuss over one area too much before I move on and then come back to it. It seems to work better for me that way. Here I've sort of gone back and clarified a number of things, working with the color a little bit. The rocks are starting to take shape, and they come taking shape a little bit more, adding in some surf, working with the color in the path, sharpening up the rocks. And here it really starts to come together. I've just sort of sharpened everything up a little bit, focused things. Still have not put the sailboats in, and I really haven't worked on the bench very much. I've painted around it. But now I put in the light that's hitting the back of the bench. I've put in a very loose indication of the sailboats. That's about as far as I'm going to go with that. I've finished off the clouds in this sketch, and you can see pretty much the finished painting. And here we go. I want to point out the light coming from this side. I've kept it very loose in here. You can see the blue highlights along this side of the rock coming from not only the sea or the bay, but the sky as well. A nice blue light flickering up through here, and a path that leads you out to the bench that you're going to sit on. I'm going to tell you about my palette a little bit here. You see that I built a masonite structure that fits right in the drawer of my French easel. I've drilled holes over here where I can put the brushes in. This keeps them separate, keeps them from rolling away, and it's very convenient. It keeps them from touching each other as well. I want to tell you about this. I'm going to show you this and then point out this down here. That is a plastic bag. This is sitting in a hole. Here's a little bit closer look. It's a cottage cheese or yogurt container lid, and I've cut an X in it, and I've set this down into a hole in the masonite, holding a plastic bag. That's my trash. I can put my paper towels in there. They won't blow away. and it holds everything in place. My palette generally, but not always, I set it up with some sap green up here, medium yellow, viridian blue, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, and my reds over here, and usually, not in this case, but in most, I do a blend between the yellows and the reds here. My white always goes in the center. This is just the way that I do it. But I take the white out of the tube, either titanium white or soft mixing white, and add a little bit of the medium yellow to it, just so it's not a pure white. And so we've stood here for a couple of hours looking at this beautiful scene, painting this scene, standing in a wonderful location. And I want to invite you to come and attend my Plein Air Boot Camp May 10th through the 13th, 2009. And come stand in some of the same places, Lover's Point, and along the path where all the benches are in Pacific Grove, with Mount Madonna in the distance, Monterey Bay. These are all scenes that we will see and we may paint, looking from the top of the mountain down onto the bay, through the pine trees, the rosea in bloom with the benches over the bay, the sunny day in Monterey Harbor with all the boats and the piers, out in Carmel Valley where there are sometimes sunflowers and there are lots of eucalyptus, beautiful sunny beach at Carmel, and these beautiful trees that grow right on the white sand of the beach. And in the distance, Point Lobos, Carmel Bay, and Big Sur to the south. I'll be there with you to teach you what you don't know, to help you through, and really to push you to produce a few paintings every day. This is an intensive, and we're going to do a lot of work, but we're doing it in a beautiful place. So I hope you will join me for Plein Air Boot Camp. Go to my site, robertlewisart.com, or click here for details. Thanks.